Hey YouTube, MooseCow here with the final recap for Operation 1.5. That's right, the final recap for 1.5. It is the middle of round 4. It is only the middle of round 4 out of a 10-round game, and we are already calling this one. Madman and I have been in talks since Rommel's, my teammate Rommel's play last night of France, Britain, and Japan. And the writing already is just on the wall for the Central Powers, and this is going to be, we've agreed, this is going to overwhelmingly be an Allied victory. It's just a matter of time, so I might as well just wrap this one up. But before I do, I just want to give you a brief little recap. Here is the boneyard dish of the casualties for this half round. Technically, it's the Ottoman Empire's turn, but no need to finish, so here. So yeah, as you can see, this is by far the most casualties we've had this entire game, this entire round, this is the most casualties we've had in a single round in this game, and technically the round's not even over. But yeah, just tons of C units, a lot of fighters, some neutrals, just a lot of bloodshed this round. Austria went into Albania, didn't quite get it. There's one Italian infantry that Albania got aligned with left. There's they sent stuff into Dalmatia. They managed to lose their sea units in the Black Sea against the Russians, and they went into and contested eastern Ukraine and took out Crimea. On Russia's turn, the Russian Empire's turn, they counterattacked and killed as many Austrians as they could and wiped out eastern Ukraine, contested eastern Ukraine, and also killed some units in some German units up in Karelia. But then the number of territories was reached to trigger the armistice between Russia and the Central Powers, and they agreed to it, which kicked off the Russian Civil War. As you can see, that is what's now on the board. And despite this big deal for the Central Powers, everything else is just going not great. So just kind of the way that this particular cookie crumbled, so to speak. But yeah, the writing is on the wall. But just to kind of give you a brief overview, the Soviets. Madman played the Soviets, and they kind of spread out here, attacked the whites in eastern Ukraine, attacked the whites in Kazan and Tatarstan, had an unsuccessful attack in Amur, and the whites countered and wiped them out. They also attacked up in Irkutsk, and the whites attacked there as well. And the whites, since they were ignored in Archangel, they attacked and contested Karelia. And the fighting continued in Tatarstan, so quite a bit of action right there. The Germans counterattacked the French in Alsace, and then spread their navy, their subs, out to 22, 23, and Sea Zone 1. They aligned Mexico, and they brought their force back from Sea Zone 72, the rest of their navy, back over here to Sea Zone 60, where the French, British, and Japanese slowly did a 1-2-3 on them and wiped them out, finally ending the Pacific German fleet here in this sea zone. So yeah, they kind of matching historically. They went all over the map for a bit. They were going all over the place, but they did not leave the Pacific until they went to the bottom of the sea. Japan also took out Carolina and Marshall Islands and Palau Islands, slowly growing their empire. Britain successfully wiped, and France successfully wiped Germany out of Africa, so the Allied powers have total domination of Africa. And let's see, Britain got lucky with tech again. They got poison gas, which they put down in India, I think, or they put down. Yeah, they put it down in Belgium. They put poison gas down in Belgium. Last turn after getting it, he put poison gas down in India, but he got poison gas and he got mines, which I would be telling my teammate to put that minefield in India. Britain then did actually, let me back up. France knocked out a sub up in Sea Zone 1, a German sub, and then Britain did. Let me back up one more time. France knocked out that sub, and then France counterattacked in Alsace. And then Britain, again, this was a wonderfully done. Good, hats off to Rommel for pulling all this off. But he took his Belgian British force and attacked Rhine province, and then he took his navy, successfully, almost entirely avoided the sea mines, only getting his dreadnought damaged, and knocked out the German Kriegsmarine in Sea Zone 21, and then landed in Hanover without losing a single infantry to a mine as well. None of the transports were hit. Only his dreadnought was damaged, and then he got lucky with the dice. The odds were in his favor. But yeah, basically, so Germany is hurting. There is all this Allied stuff here on all three fronts, and these are contested. That's Allied controlled. There's forces from the Eastern Front on the way, but is it too little, too late? And I think it is. I'll be honest, I think it is. A lot of this is out of position in order to get back in time. I personally, just as a feedback thing, I think actually too much was thrown at Russia. It's a kind of a balancing act that you have to do with its essential powers, and I think a little too much was thrown at Russia to make it crumble as quickly as it did. Now that's allowed the Allied powers to push in, and the only way that I can possibly see Germany recovering from this is if the Austria-Hungary helps them out significantly, and in which case, if they do that, then the Italians will be able to take ground, and then it becomes just a matter of the Central Powers choosing where they're going to lose more, I suppose. And so basically after this whole thing right here, and just the state of Germany as it is, it's just overwhelming. The writing is on the wall. Madman and I agree. It's just overwhelmingly going to be an Allied power victory. That's Operation 1.5. Over here, just kind of have a little bit of a guide of the points that they are now, what are some points that are likely, but also a lot of these points might change. I can only see this changing in the Allies' favor. Allies definitely have Western Front secured. They definitely have favorable trade secured. The Central Powers have the Russian Revolution, and we can't take that away from them, and they're probably going to get the Fate of Russia point. The Balkans, they have it, but I could easily see them losing it because they're going to get pulled in so many directions. They're never getting the Suez point. The Black Sea, they might be able to hang on to, probably will hang on to that one. Africa, not a chance. Middle East oil, they have it. They might be able to hang on to that one, but maybe not. China, I think it's going to go in the Allied favor. That one is actually a little close to call, so I'm just going to take that one off. But the Allies are definitely going to eventually get Pacific colonies. The Allies definitely absolutely have the Empire point. Central Powers have Belgrade. Allies could get Munich, and they're probably going to get Cologne at the very least. Central Powers have 3 minor cities, but I could easily see the Allies getting that one as well, and eventually right now. So the Central Powers have 4 minor cities, but I think it's safe to say they're not getting any other ones beyond that. They're just not going to be able to push into Veneto. They're not going to be able to push into Belgium. They're just not, and get Ypres. They're just not going to do that. Sofia also could be possibly vulnerable with how strong the Allies are, and so I think it's very possible that the Allies could end up getting Sofia, and they could end up getting even Constantinople, even because the Ottomans have so much over here out of range and so much down here. I honestly think, and the Central Powers have next to nothing beyond these 2 Ottoman cruisers here. I could honestly see if with the Allies being able to throw all of this at the Ottomans, I could see that actually happening eventually. So just overwhelmingly, this is just overwhelmingly going to be, let me take that one away. This is just overwhelmingly going to be a Allied victory with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 at the very least. That's my thoughts at least. Right now, the Allies, if I am correct, right now the Allies are at 81. The French and the British are at 81 on the tracker. All they needed to do is get to 85 to get the Empire point. They're gonna get that. That for sure is gonna happen. What else? That basically about covers it. So one thing to keep in mind is that Kings and Kaisers is still a very, very new game in comparison to BBR. And one thing to keep in mind is that both both Rommel and Prussian Gamer are very new to Kings and Kaisers as well. Madman and I, the way I've been phrasing it is that we wanted to let other people play with our train set a little bit and take a back seat, and we kind of wanted to see what other people would do with it, and also see how any things would be misinterpreted, and then we can make them make rules. We can clarify a few things that way in the rule book when we see how people have misinterpreted some things. And there were a few things misinterpreted that we're going to make a little that I can revise, but not overall, not a lot. But they were definitely coming from a very they definitely come from a BBR background, and so it's still, it's a different animal, it's a different beast that they have to get used to and stuff. So hats off to them, hats off to Prussian Gamer and Rommel for giving this game a shot and giving us a try and being as supportive as they have been of it. You learn best by doing, so I fully expect that they've grown as players from playing this game, and the next time they play it, they'll have a kind of better grasp on the different nuances of it, of what to do and what not to do. I kind of joke with I like to joke with like bad movies that you learn more from bad movies than you learn from good movies, because with bad movies you learn what not to do. With good movies, they're effective, so you don't actually know what to do because they're doing their job well. But bad movies, you're watching a bad movie, So it's kind of like the same thing with plays. You kind of have with a game moves and plays. You don't realize what's a bad move until you see the result of it and stuff. And just to kind of give a little bit of feedback, I think that Prussian Gamer made a big mistake, not by not declaring war against Britain on turn 1, but he didn't declare war against them on turn 2. And if you're not going to declare war against Britain, and you're not going to invade Belgium, which would bring Britain in, if you're not going to do that, you still have to attack France. That's one of the things. Prussian Gamer never did other than sending units this way, he never pushed in on the Western Front. It very quickly became a defensive game for him in Alsace. It was too quick for them to be doing a defensive thing in Alsace, in German territory this quickly into the game. My advice, if you're not if on German round 1, if you don't invade Belgium, you have to invade Lorraine, and if you if you don't invade Belgium, you have to invade Lorraine. If you don't invade Lorraine, you should invade Belgium. Or what I also like to do is invade both. But the one thing you shouldn't do is you shouldn't not invade anything over here. You shouldn't invade none of these territories, right? So that's one thing to consider right there. And there's other things you can do, but in terms of all around the map, there's a lot of different options you can do, but that's one thing right there. And then on German turn 2, he still didn't declare war against the British. The British got to declare war on their turn, and well, quite frankly, I think that's a little bit of a mistake, because it limits the income and chaos you can do everywhere else when that happens. So that right there was a mistake that I fully expect he will learn from, And also on the Eastern Front, I think the Central Powers sent way more than they needed to against the Russians, and they could have sent some of that stuff elsewhere to start making progress in other theaters. Because essentially, what ended up happening was that they allowed the Italians to build up here, the Allies to build up here. The German colonies in Africa got stamped out really quickly, which is never a good thing, and India started to grow. Even though Rommel never pushed. If we could have done this game all over again, I would have encouraged him to push into Persia earlier, but it just kind of never ended up happening over here. And then also because of the German threat, the cruisers, like what were they doing? What were the transports doing? Because he kept going around here. Prussian gamer kept kind of doing circles in the Pacific a little bit, which actually was effective in a way, but ultimately it didn't go anywhere beyond him landing in Mexico, southern Mexico at the end. And while this is a nice little distraction for America's in a position, since they were already at war. They got brought into the war on round 3, was it? Round 3? Yeah, they got brought into the war at the beginning of round 3, I think it was. And, or was it 2? I'm going off of memory. But anyway, the Americans were already at war when Germany aligned this, so I would expect this to get stamped out pretty quickly. And because this is looking so positive for the Allies, this almost doesn't even need to come over this way. So this really ultimately isn't super much of a distraction right now. The China theater is a little up in the air. And a little close to call. But Empire China on their turn attacked 2 territories, and then the Republic of China, Prussian gamer played them. And he just doom stacked and built up in Kwangtung. He didn't counter. And one of the things with the China point is it's ultimately who controls the most territories. So you're going to have this one big mass going around, and all the other pieces, the other Chinese faction will be able to kind of skirt around you. So ultimately, even what I could foresee happen is him having this one doom stack. And then, the other faction ends up controlling most of China, and they do that little kind of a dance. So that's a big possibility. I don't have the China point factored into this, but that is something I could see happening over here. That's basically about it. Madman and I are aiming to do another game of this as soon as possible, and it's just going to be the 2 of us. Most likely it is just going to be the 2 of us, just so that we have a really, really good example of the 1.5 rule set, and so everybody on YouTube can see a game of this with experienced players and players who are really familiar with the rule set. So look forward to that in the future, and looking forward to rolling some dice again and making videos for you guys, and chatting with the viewers, and so on and so forth. So stay tuned for more Kings and Kaisers action coming at you in the future.